Morning, everyone. Welcome to the match preview, the first one of the brand new season. I hope your week has gone well. We're back. Premier League football is back. I'm really excited about today as well. I'm sure everyone's buzzing to be back. Let's see how long that lasts today. And at the start of a brand new season, I think it's always important to say the same things leading into the start of a season that I would say to any team that I've coached or played for. Don't get too high when it's going too well, and don't get too low when it's not, because it's a long season. And as our song goes, we'll likely have ups and downs throughout the entirety of this season's calendar. But there's a lot of stuff to get stuck into. All this stuff, by the way, over on the side will get a lot more populated as the season goes on, because at the moment there's no form guides, there's not a huge amount of detail. And we're in a part of the year where it's going to be very difficult to kind of predict what you're going up against. There's a lot of new managers in the Premier League this season, a huge summer change for the Premier League sides, and there's a lot of managers swapping around, so we're likely to see a lot more differing styles, different players coming in. So it's very hard to predict it at this moment in time of what you're going to be playing against. Nottingham Forest, a basket case last year, four managers, very different styles. Victor Pereira keeping them up after Sean Dyche did, I think, a reasonably good job there, but very Dyche in what he was doing. But now they've got a brand new manager in Oliver Glasner, a serial trophy winner as well, and will play a very different brand of football. And probably the one managerial move over the course of the summer that a lot of people raised an eyebrow to, but it's going to be a fascinating contest and to see what they do. There are some differences to Forest. We'll get into all of the usual stuff. Team news. We'll have form guide once we start to get a bit of a form guide together. We'll look back at last season as well. We'll look at the manager and the team's head-to-heads. We'll also talk about the odds going into this game. We'll look at the key statistics and stats and historical stats over the last couple of years, which Andrew Stats Dalton has kindly supplied to us. We'll also look at what they've done in the transfer market in and out this year as well, and have a proper little look at how they're going to face up. And then at the end, I'll give you my thoughts and predicted lineups, which I think pretty much picks itself at this moment in time. But you can give me your thoughts down below in the comments, how you're feeling about this. If you want to stick a like on the video as well. We got a busy day. We've got this one first thing in the morning. Then we've got the watch along on YouTube as well, which we will do on YouTube until bigup.com is up and running again. It's down for work. And then we'll have the instant match reaction afterwards. And tomorrow morning, Alex and myself will be talking about, I suppose, the game in a bit more detail with our members chat over on the Sunday session. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now. There's a lot to get into. But let's start off with the team news, and we'll start off with the home side in this game, which is Nottingham Forest. Right, so a couple of doubts for Nottingham Forest. Ryan Yates is the obvious doubt for them, as the one that's been listed. He's down as having an unspecified leg injury of some sort, so he's a doubt for this game. They've also listed Savona as being a doubt, but I have only seen that on one report on him, so I haven't concluded it too much in this. They've got a couple of new players coming in that will likely be in and around this as well. Ousmane Diamand, who they've signed from Sporting Lisbon, a player we looked at the early part of the transfer window. He is building his fitness, but is likely to be involved in this game. Javier Schlager is also involved in this. He will be in central midfield, and an interesting one to keep an eye on. That midfield for Forest is very changed than what it looked like last season. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail when we get to what Forest are likely to bring to the table. They've also got Callum Wendu, who was sent out on loan last year after they signed him, but he's been brought back into the fold. And Oliver Glasner has been using him in a very interesting position over the course of pre-season. And they've also got Chris Wood now back after a very injury-hit season for him last year. And they've got a brand new goalkeeper in Stephen Benda, although he is likely to be just the backup goalkeeper. And then their big addition of the summer, Oliver Glasner as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table. They're expected to get a couple of more signings, especially in the attacking third. Liam Delap, who we've all spoken about this week, has been heavily linked with Nottingham Forest. They're looking for another target man in order to compete with Chris Wood. And again, Chris Wood likely to have injuries over the course of the season. So maybe Delap is a very Foresty type player. I mean, if you look at what Glasner had before, Strand Larson he brought into Palace last January, and also before that, he had Mateta as well. So he does like that kind of central striker. So likely to do more business. Same as ourselves, more business to be done before the window closes. In terms of Leeds, 2 out for us. Willie Gnonto out with a hamstring injury. Gabby Goodmunson also out with a bit of a hamstring issue there. Not likely to be back anytime soon. Well, Goodmunson's going to miss probably the first 4 games, including the cup game against Forest. Gnonto could be back involved midweek. Daniel Farke did say in his press conference he's hoping to have Willie back as soon as he can. Nando's had a really good pre-season for Leeds, so I'll be very keen to get him back involved as quick as we can. He's looked really dangerous on that right-hand side and Leeds' brand new style of approach down the right wing. Also, he's not listed here, but Mateo Joseph, some people keep asking about Mateo Joseph. He hasn't been given a squad number this year by Leeds. He does have an ACL injury, so he's not likely to see an awful lot of football at all this season, if any, and very unlikely to see him involved in training, at least until Christmas. So you can rule him out for a bit. In terms of what Leeds will have in, we know what we've brought in so far. Trafford, Muharramovic, Wilson and Elvedi are all in the door. We've got probably a bit more business to do. Still conflicting reports floating around about the goalkeeper situation, but there is more business expected by Leeds. And when we get to the team lineup, you do start to look at it and go, we still probably need one or two in that attacking third just to be 100% comfortable. Noah Okafor is building his fitness, Daniel Farke said, so he's likely to be involved at some point. I don't think he'll start the game because of that, but Farke did talk about the fact that he might have a big impact off of the bench. That's what Leeds have got so far. In terms of head-to-head, I suppose it's probably more beneficial speaking about the managers and last season than anything else, but it's very different because, again, we faced Forest last season with two different managers and we lost 3-1 away from home last season to Forest in what was one of Leeds' poorest performances, and we think that was around the same time as the Brighton game and we just didn't look ourselves at all at that point. Second time we played them at Elland Road, much better. Ilya Groove had the game of his life that night, looked like Prime Stoichkov, as Daniel Farke called him there. I was at that game with Jerry as well. So it was very different, two very different Leeds United last season that turned up against Nottingham Forest, and there was several different Nottingham Forest over the course of last season in total. In terms of the managers, they played each other 4 times, in Germany twice and in the UK twice. 1 win apiece, 2 draws. But what's interesting is Oliver Glasner hasn't beaten Leeds United as a manager, so that has to be added into the context for this game as well. The odds on this game as well, Nottingham Forest are the slight favourites, despite the fact they've done probably less business than Leeds in the transfer market, have lost more key players than Leeds have lost. They're still just slightly the favourites for this game, probably because they are the home side, so 5-4 round for them. Leeds slightly outside that, 9-4, and a draw is 5-4 as well. So yeah, I think opening day of the season, a lot of people will put their money on a draw, but we'll have to wait and see. If you're into that kind of thing, there you go. There's your odds. Let's talk about Forest signing, what they've done this summer. So they've done a lot of outs, a couple of ins. Ousmane Diamand, centre back, £34 million from Sporting. So about same as the money we spent on Tarek. He's come back in. He's likely to feature in this game. Very, very good centre back. Good ball playing centre back. And another big lad as well. They've got 3 very, very imposing centre backs there. They might play with a 2 at the back. They might play with a 3. Glasner's operated with both over the course of pre-season. Not massively dissimilar to what Daniel Farke has done. He's tried out the 4. And a very different midfield looking for them as well. Schlager will go into that central midfield area. Who partners him will be interesting. Noah Elliott-Anderson, as he's gone to Manchester City. They're not expecting any one player to replace Elliott-Anderson. The talk from the Forest side is that they will try and split the load on what Elliott-Anderson used to bring to Nottingham Forest, where everything built up from him through the centre. They're now hoping that it will be Schlager. And the interesting one is James McAtee, who didn't play a huge amount of football last year, has been played in the 6th role for Forest over the course of this summer. Now, it's not massively dissimilar to the number 10 in terms of creations or getting moves going. It's very different in terms of defensive work that is needed to be done there. He's not what you call an excessively physical or aggressive player, but he can play ball. So it'll be interesting to see how they split that there. Does Schlager take the more physical side of things? Do they rely on the defenders behind them to back him up physically and let McAtee play football in there? But that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. As I say, Stephen Bend is coming as a goalkeeper from Fulham, likely to be on the bench for him in this game. And then Arnold Callum Wendu is the interesting one for me. He has been playing as a number 10 over their pre-season, so they're likely to play him just off of Chris Wood, which might suit him a lot more than when they tried to play him last year when they first brought him into the club. So he will feature in some way, shape or form in this game. In terms of outs, very different looking for them. Anderson, as we know, was gone. Their main player last year. Everything came out through the middle from him last year. That's not likely to be the case anymore. They will come out with a different point of attack. Taiwo Awanyi has also moved £9 million. He's gone off to Coventry City. David Carmo has gone to Olympiacos for £7.7 million. And Stefan Ortega, one of their goalkeepers, he's also gone to Olympiacos. So lots of self-handshaking between Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest over the summer. And Angus Gunn, another goalkeeper, he's left as well. and he's gone to San Jose Earthquakes. So they've lost 2 goalkeepers. They brought one in. Sells will still be their number 1 goalkeeper for this season. He's a decent goalkeeper, but has his moments. So you never know if you can put him under a bit of pressure. You just don't know. And the way Leeds have been pressuring goalkeepers over the course of this summer, if it carries into the season, that could be really, really strong for Leeds. In terms of statistics for this game, thanks to Andrew Stats Dalton for these as well, but it's the first time Leeds have started a season against Forest since the 1991-1992 campaign. Leeds went on to win the league there, the forever champions of the old First Division Leeds. Leeds are also looking for their first top flight win at the City Ground since the 2-0 win on the 27th of November 1971. Peter Lorimer and Alan Clark scoring on that day. Leeds' last win at the City Ground in any competition was a 2-0 win on the 26th of August 2017. Kamar Roof and Gianni Alioski with the goals on that day. And since then, Forest have won their last 4 home meetings with Leeds. 4-2 on the 19th of January, 2-0 20th of February, 1-0 23rd of February, and 3-1 25th of November. The last time Leeds opened their season on a Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff, we beat Wolves 2-1 at Ellen Road, and Brendan Aronson made his debut. He's just signed the brand new contract. Fingers crossed he can have an impact in this one. Leeds have never lost an opening day Premier League game kicking off Saturday at 3 p.m. Played 12, won 6 and drawn 6. Leeds ended last season with 897 players in their history to have played for the club. That could hit 900 depending on debuts today. And new goalkeeper James Trafford is set for his competitive debut. The last time Leeds broke the British transfer record for a goalkeeper was Nigel Martin, who ironically debuted at Forest's rivals Derby County in a 3-3 draw at the baseball ground. New Nottingham Forest manager Oliver Glasner has yet to beat Leeds. He lost 4-1 with Palace last year at Ellen Road and drew 0-0 at Selhurst Park. Leeds with 10 men in that game after Gabby Goodmunson was sent off incorrectly. And Daniel Farke is only the 4th Leeds manager in 50 years to start a 4th consecutive season in charge of the club. It's an interesting season for Daniel Farke. I think he came back into the press conferences for this year with a lot more swagger than he maybe had about him last year. He looked really, really confident. And I think he balanced it out really well as well. He told the players, your job is to stay focused, get the 3 points, look ahead to only the next 3 points. And to the Leeds fans, he said, dream big, why not? We've been pessimistic for long enough. We've had to deal with a lot over the last 20 years. Why not look ahead with a bit of optimism? He said that we're the most optimistic fans in the league, according to Athletic. And he read into that in a fair bit of detail, which means he does read the press from time to time. But it is an interesting season for Daniel Farke. I think the start of the season this year could be different than normal. Teams generally trying to start the season quite slowly, build into a campaign, finish very, very strongly. But I think if you're looking at this year, the extra couple of pre-season friendlies, there's a bit more intensity about Leeds, I think, this year as well. And I think he's very confident. He looked like a manager who was very happy with what he's dealing with. He's very happy with his squad. It's very much his squad now. He has been backed by the ownership as well. But I think if you're going into a brand new game of the season, you wouldn't say no to a draw on the opening day. If you win your way, you draw your away games and you win your home games, likely finish the season in a very, very positive position. In terms of my thoughts on this game, I'd like to see Leeds start strong. I'd like to see us on the front foot, but it is that first game of the season with a new manager, a club, new players coming in, where you're going to have that first 15 minutes around trying to figure each other out a little bit because you don't have a lot of data to go on coming into this game. The team sheet for me will likely be what we saw started against Augsburg in the final preseason game. I think Noah Okafor will likely be on the bench if you read into what Daniel Farke said about him building up his minutes, making an impact off the bench. He did say that, so could have a part to play off the bench, like you see Brendan Aronson starting that position, because Okafor's had a much shorter preseason. They're focusing on getting his running stats up. We now know Okafor's good for about 60 minutes of a game normally, so but Leeds have not added a huge amount to the starting 11. You can see my 11 on the pitch there. You look at James Trafford, Harry Wilson and Tariq, and they do add different qualities to Leeds. I mean, they're definitely upgrades on positions, but you do look at that final third and think Leeds still probably need just a little bit extra. And again, with Willie Gnonto being out injured, there's a bit more depth needed there. So they do still have a bit of work to do there. But at the same time, Nottingham Forest haven't added a huge amount either to their squad. So, and they've lost a lot of players. And losing someone that was as important to them last year as Elliot Anderson, and how their whole new midfield will have to work now, will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But yeah, different approaches from both sides for this game. I think Leeds coming into this season with a very different approach. That right-hand side attack for me is going to be the one to keep a very strong eye on. Leeds will likely split and play it with a 2 at the back when they get the ball. And more so on the right-hand side. I think we will be very right-hand side centric, if you can be right-hand side centric, but right-hand side focused this season. That overlapping run from Joe Rodon. So if you do see Leeds go down the right-hand side, likely to see Bial go to the right, Tarek go to the left, Ethan Ampadu to sit in front of that back 2 and just protect them should they be needed to. And Rodon will add that extra width. You'll see the 2 wing backs get high and wide, and then you'll likely see your Aronson and your Wilson tuck right in as 2 inside forwards or 2 10s behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Give the space on the right-hand side for the overlapping runs of Bogle and Rodon. I think it's less so on the left-hand side, though. I don't think we'll see Tarek bombing down the left-hand side, so a slightly different approach. Now, with James Justin on that left-hand side, more likely he's going to come inside, maybe gives the width then for Brendan Aronson to lean out more towards that side, or, depending on Leeds' attack on that, Brendan could start on the right-hand side where he did last year an awful lot. And you could see Harry Wilson on the left-hand side to whip crosses in towards Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the centre. And then the other big part of this is going to be set pieces. Like, we've got a brand new set piece taker in Harry Wilson. A lot more focus on that. It's not just a case of Anton Stack standing over a ball now. There's more threat that Leeds can add, and also from corner kicks as well. And Ethan Ampadu's long throw. And more specifically, that new front post run that they've added into the mix. They keep alternating between the different centre halves, so it's not that easy to predict. It was Sebastian Bornau and it was Joe Rodon over the course of the preseason that we're getting that flick on. Dominic Calvert-Lewin spinning away into the space in behind as the players get drawn towards the ball and getting his goals. Like you see Maharmovic and Bial be the ones on that one as well, but you've got plenty of variety there as well. And then the midfielders stack on the edge of the box looking for second ball. So I like that. I like what Leeds are bringing into it this year. I like the way we've been attacking on that right-hand side. I got a good look at it at Crow Park as well. And I do think there's an awful lot to that. I did really think it suited Willie Nanto an awful lot, but he's not going to get that opportunity for a couple of weeks at least yet. But yeah, as I said, there's a bit more swagger about Leeds this season than there was last year. We're looking up rather than looking down. A strong start would be fantastic, but it is very much the first game of the season and feeling everything out. So we'll have to wait and see. Point away from home wouldn't be a big loss. On the James McAtee thing, by the way, so as I say, he's been playing as a 6. The reason apparently he's been playing as a 6 is Glasner's looking for an Adam Wharton style player. And Wharton wouldn't be labelled as the most overly physical type of player either. So he sees McAtee as a, maybe potential option to play in there. So that is definitely one to keep an eye on. Chris Wood being back involved, one to keep an eye on there as well against his former side. And then Callum Wendell, where he plays for them. They're the ones for me to keep an eye on. Their backline will be interesting. I'd like to test their goalkeeper as much as we can early on in this one. I'm being confident. 2-1 for me. Team sheet wise, I think it's Trafford, Bogle, Rodon, Bial, Uharmovic, Justin, Ampadu, Stack, Aronson, Wilson, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think Okafor will have a very big part to play off the bench in this one as well, but it was nice to see some players get off the mark nice and early. I'm going for 2-1 Leeds win. Let me know your thoughts and your score predictions down below. This will evolve over the course of the season. We get more data and more information to talk about and get a chance to analyse some of the opposition that Leeds will be playing against. Back later on, 2:30 for the watch along on YouTube. Get involved in that if you want. If you're not subscribed and you want to comment, make sure you are subscribed to get involved in our chat. And then back for the instant match reaction after that. Have a great rest of your day. Fingers crossed for 3 points today. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.